Arr! Let's make us the pirate ship! Ha! You'll have to excuse the knuckle. That's not from playing with a toy. Alright, so first of all, I always cut on a piece of scrap. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the upper and lower deck. Before we do anything, we want to put a notch in the front. Using a piece of the 3/4 inch as a guide, hang this off the edge of the table and cut like this. I'm going to cut it upright quickly. You just want to cut in only about 3/4 of an inch. Grab your little small saw and notch that out. Now you're going to want to do the same to another board. Going to use the first as the guide for the second. Again, off the edge of the table would be best. This will be for something notching in later. Now the first thing we're going to have to do is make the curve for the boat. Using the small saw, I think it's going to be easier. Start at the front of your notch and cut back, making sure to leave a little point. This will determine the basic shape of your boat. Now if you don't like it, go in here and adjust now, and then use this one as the bottom piece. But if you do like it, what you do is you just simply use it as a template for everything else. Okay, there we are, our two deck pieces. Now, the upper deck is smaller, or is larger than the lower deck, so I'm going to choose the piece I like the best, make that the upper deck. Off the lower deck, cut a piece off, okay? That'll make the size difference now. And cut a little more off. Now, depending on whether you want what shape of boat you want, now you can come in here and actually cut a little bit more off lengthwise. Okay, now by doing this, now your boat's going to have a taper in a couple of directions. So here's your upper and lower deck. Grab yourself two pieces of 3/4, lay them down on your deck, and just figure your measure. Cut them off. Alright, so now let's attach those. We want to leave enough space between these to get a post in later, okay? It's the only thing you need to consider. Now I've got our sandwich piece. Now let's figure out where our mast is going to go. Now we know at the back we're going to put a little piece. I think in the drawing they show a piece of 3/4. I'm going to use this piece of scrap I have laying around. I think it's going to look a little cooler being a little larger. Now, get your large drill bit. Now I'm going to think about where I want my mast to be. I think about something like this is going to look good. Aim for the middle. Little back and forth cuts. Remove the scrap. Now, let's work on our mast. Remember, some of this is going to be underneath the deck, so you can just put it together very quickly. I think we want it to stick up about that high. You can either mark it with your finger. Of course, you can always measure. Two of those. I'm going to make the next one just a little bit smaller. It's your small drill bit, starting from one side. Work your way in, small back and forth movements. Pull it out, flip it over, back and forth, small little movements. Pull that out. Repeat. Okay, now you have your masts. You can stick those in like this. You can just sort of set up everything in advance. This way you can look at it and decide if you like it. You can always make changes that way. Let's put the bow on the ship. We know we're going to want it to be about this tall. I'm going to go a little bit above the deck of the ship. Mark it. Cut this off. Now you can be creative in this area and you can cut all different sorts of shapes. I'm going to stick to what the drawing has. but here's where you could have some fun and make some interesting boat shapes. Using your little saw, cut that. Now, when you put this in, things are still going to not line up. You'll notice that this doesn't go in all the way. So we now have to cut out a notch. So just by marking it, either by measuring it or by simply marking it. Right, now we can pull this out and take a piece out. Put it in, and once everything's lined up, you know you're fine. Okay, let's put the sides of the boat on. So grab yourself a piece of a thin piece, line it up, just put it down so it touches the ground, and here's where you can decide how high you want this to be. You can be creative and cut in a shape, or as in the drawing, I'm just going to make a straight line. So I will simply mark it. Now, to make sure everything's fine, measure this, or do a quick cheat, fold it over, mark it. Now we're sure that both of these are the same size. Now, just cut. Alright, so we're going to attach these sides. Now before I do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drive a screw through the front and attach this bow piece. These side pieces we're going to want to trim and give them a little bit of an angle to mimic the front of that. Now there's going to be some flexing when you install this, so don't think about it too much. Cut an angle similar to the angle up there. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, you want to start at the beginning of the boat and work your way back, so you're sure you have enough foam. So we're going to put this up here. I'm going to start all the way towards the back, so you can see that everything lines up. So first off, let's make sure that the boat touches the ground. So let's install this lowest screw here. You want to push all these pieces together. Find yourself a medium-sized screw here. You want to go through the outer piece, through the lower deck, and into the front bow piece. That's going to hold all these pieces together. Okay, you want to do the same up top, going through the upper deck and holding all that in place. So now it's important that this is flush to the bottom, and now here's your overlap on the inside. Now what we'll do is I'm just going to start at one side, run all the way down the other side, putting in nails until we get to the very end. But don't put in the end nails. Start here, work your way across. I'm going to use nails for this to save my screws for the top, and then I'll use little screws on the top. If you want to help measure things, you can just like 3 fingers. Okay, now we're going to end it with a screw, flip it over and repeat. Okay, so now we have all of our rivets down the side. Obviously we're missing the holes. So let's go ahead and get the small drill and just go ahead and drill them, you know, as you like. Remember, you're going to try to hit in between these two boards here. That's where you want your drill bit to come in sideways. Okay, the holes would look a little bit better if we had pre-drilled them, but it would be hard to make it line up. So if you think you can pre-drill them on a piece of scrap, they'll be cleaner, but then they might not line up as well. It's your choice. Okay, so now we have that. So on the back, it shows to install a little piece across here. So let's go ahead and cut that. We just want it to come in and be that tall. I know we're going to want an angle, so let's just go ahead and put one angle on. Stick it under here, see if everything lines up the way we like. Yeah, it looks like it's going to come to the end. So then just match the angle on the other side. Okay, I've decided to trim that off a little bit, make it look a little nicer. Go ahead and attach it. Alright, there's the deck. Now let's get on to the sails. For the sails, start off, just take 2 of your pieces, just cut them in half. Okay, that's going to be the start of your sails. Now grab 2 thin pieces. Now here you can be creative. If you want to do a square sail, just go ahead and cut it square. If you want to do one with a little bit of an angle, that's fine too. It's up to you at this point. You could even cut them round. I'm going to go ahead and just stack 2 at once. Now my angles are similar, but now I'm going to move on. So I'm going to want my biggest sail to be about the same size as this piece here. Right? And then I'm just going to take my next one, cut it a little smaller. And essentially, that's how we're going to do our sails. I'm going to use small screws because small screws hold better when you deal with small parts. So, we're going to start with the lower, biggest piece of sail. We're going to attach it. So, start with your thin piece on top of the 3/4 and drive in 2 screws. Now that's all. Now flip that over and take another piece and 2 screws, but this time from the back side. So now when you look at it, you can see that it's actually staggered. But that'll look good when we attach the sail. So now come in with your smaller sail from the front, 2 more screws. Now let's repeat. Take one mast, stick it all the way down in, and I think we decided we're just going to put the sail all the way to the top. Okay, so now that we know that, we can just pull this right back out. It's easier to work down here, but it's easiest to measure up there. So now, 1 small screw at the top. And we can do 2 larger screws. You can either do these from the front or from the back. But remember, we want to get through all these layers, especially in the back. I'm going to make the front sail just a little smaller. Okay, let's install them. I'm going to put the shorter sail in the front. Cut a bit off of this. So now we have these installed here. We're going to add a few little strips for sideways support to help hold all the rigging up. So, taking your leftover pieces of the thin material, just cut little strips. Okay, now, just with some leftovers, make yourself a couple little nice long kind of flag shapes. We have to install the rigging to the ship. I'm going to take one piece, and going from the front sail, I'm going to take one flag, one piece of rigging, and go directly into the mast. Again, screws are going to work a lot easier than trying to hammer up here. Okay, now from the other side, just go ahead in and put in another one similar. Okay, so now we have 2. So, just come along back here, figure out what angle you'd like your sail to be at. and then attach this rigging piece here. Now at the moment it's loose until we go to the other side, and that's going to tighten everything up. So pull it not too tight, but tight enough that that helps strengthen everything. Okay, I'm actually going to make a quick cut in here so my rigging can come through this sail. So on the front, actually, I should have attached this upper piece of rigging in here as well. We're going to figure out the length we want it to be. Adjust your sail distance between here to here. Okay. Cut that off. Take your flag. Hold everything in place. You want to go through your flag, through your rigging, into the mast. So besides the cannon, that's the boat as pictured in the instructions. But I'm going to, as you know, I like to do a couple little personalizations on all my items. So I'm going to come up here to the front, and I'm going to cut my bow flat. I'm going to take one of my leftover pieces here. I'm even going to give it a little bit of an angle when I cut it. Now, I'm just going to come up to the front deck, and a couple nails. Off the bow, we now have a longer piece, which looks good. And I'm going to come around to the back, and I'm going to give it a bit of a rudder. And that rudder will also add some strength here, as I'll show you. So, I'm going to cut that. Cut this. Okay, now I want this to notch in. So I will just very carefully notch, notch. I can add my little extra rudder. I'm going to use a very long nail for that. 2 nails sideways in the rear back here. So you're asking, how does that help strengthen? Well, let me show you. I'm going to add one more piece of, we have one piece of rigging left. I could cut a new piece, but I think I'll just leave it this length. One more screw in here. And then just to whatever height it happens to go, that's what we'll do. Now this is just one more way to strengthen our sails. Okay, last but not least, we've got to make our cannon. So, with some pieces that we have left over, just going to cut 2 tires off of our round. Okay. Piece of scrap. Cut our cannon. And we can either cut a piece of scrap or use this piece, which seems like it's going to work just fine, underneath. So, first things first, we have to attach this side to side. Okay, so now we've attached the 2 tires to the square piece. Now you simply mount the cannon on top of that. I'm even going to leave this sticking up a little bit because then it looks like the wick. Okay, so there's our cannon.